When it comes to wishing power, my experience is that when you sincerely make a wish, fate will appear quickly. For example, those who made a wish to see and hear about me in the past can make a connection with Buddhism. Later, many people who had a lot of contact with me believed in Buddhism, and the believers also changed to learning Buddhism. Later, I saw this era again. Although Buddhist students are everywhere, there are many people who are confused and retreating. So I made a wish to help people who lack faith and direction to find the direction and way. Unconsciously, I answered a large number of questions from all over the country and abroad through blogs and WeChat. Now I find that I need to do three things. First, protect and provide the three treasures. The second is to read the works of Xianmi Date extensively. The third is in-depth meditation. The following is an article I wrote a few years ago and published in my personal ICQ space. Due to ICQ, most of my friends are classmates and friends who do not believe in Buddhism, so the language style is slightly different. Let us start with a few stories. Last year 5U, I went to Suzhou to attend an online seminar. At that time, there was a Taiwanese marketer who talked about a lot of theories on the podium. I remember he told an experience of himself. When I was depressed, I have nothing and I am heavily in debt. Once he went on a desert trip with his friends. He rode on a camel's back, looked up at the sky and vowed, "If I can succeed in the future, I am willing to contribute my life to e-commerce." He said that after returning from the trip, there was a good opportunity to pay off the debt slowly. Later, it took 6 years to build a platform, with an annual revenue of more than 100 million yuan, and provided planning consultants for many network companies. He emphasized the oath he made in the desert, and I thought it was God's help that I came to this day. At that time, I didn't think it was anything. I think it just a story of a loser as counterattack. It's just that over time, after seeing, hearing and thinking, I found that there is an incredible power in the world. This power is an oath and a wish. If you can use it well, you can bring great changes to your life trajectory. If it is abused and used in bad aspects, it will lead to very tragic results. During the Spring Festival 2 years ago, my mother was chatting with several women. My aunt takes care of my grandson in Guangdong, my cousins and sisters-in-law go to work, and their family's relatives live next door. Because there were children at home, he cried at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, which inevitably made a lot of noise. So the relative couldn't stand it anymore and scolded his aunt. She admitted her mistake and apologized to him. The relative was so annoyed that he couldn't listen to it, so he lit incense and made a poisonous oath. If there is something in the future, he will do it. Half a year later, he died of a terminal illness. When they chatted, they also talked about several similar cases that happened in our area. They all died soon after burning incense and swearing poison. The result of the discussion is that poisonous oaths cannot be made casually, and the consequences will be endless. In the classics of ancient Chinese novels, such stories appear one after another. The story of Qin Xiong and Luo Qing's oath in the romance of the Sui and Tang dynasties is very intriguing. Qin Xiong and Luo Qing are cousins. Qin Xiong's sword god has gone, and Luo Qing's gun is unparalleled in the world. The two vowed to teach each other their best. Luo Qing swore, if he can finish teaching Luo's gun, he was shot to death by random arrows. Qin Xiong swore that he would not be given the sword of the Qin family and vomited blood and died. When Luo Qing taught Qin Xiong, he left a horse gun. When Qin Xiong taught Luo Qing, he left a killer sword. Later, in a battle, Luo Qing was shot dead by random arrows. In Jin Rengoi's expedition to the east, Qin Xiong, who was seriously ill, competed for the commander to lead the army. In the competition of raising stone lions, he died shortly after vomiting blood. Fulfilled their respective vows. The following two are transferred from moments. In the late 1980s, a classmate of mine worked as a secretary in an iron factory in the countryside and told me a story of an oath, which still makes me sad. The iron factory is about to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival. Before the festival, the employees went home for a collective holiday and bought 5 caddies of pork for the janitor in the remaining factory to eat during the holiday. At that time, the cook and the gatekeeper were present. Soon, 5 caddies of pork flew away. The doorman said that the cook took it, but the cook didn't admit it, and the two quarreled about it. The people watching the excitement didn't understand whether it was the cook who took the meat or the doorkeeper who wronged the people, and they were confused. In order to prove their innocence, at noon, the two people burned incense in the central yard of the factory and vowed he would die on August 15th. Everyone who watched the excitement thought it was ridiculous. They didn't take it seriously. They just laughed and dispersed. On the day of the Mid-Autumn Festival, the cook really died, which reminded people of the story, and different people had different guesses. Writer wrote about something that happened in his family. His father worked hard to save some money and lend it to others to earn some interest. One spring, the neighbor in the front yard returned his father's 150 when the yuan was paid. My father made a mistake, and the neighbor paid it back less. 50 the principle of yuan. 80 the countryside of the era. 50 yuan is not a decimal number. The father came to his family to settle the account the next day, but the family did not admit it. He swore to heaven and earth and said that he borrowed it. That is the money. It won't be wrong. If you tell a lie, you will let the rice land you buy. The house is on fire, and your daughter will be rude. At that time, there were many onlookers, but this matter was over, and my father suffered a dumb loss. In autumn, the family's house was on fire, and many people went to put out the fire. Some people say, you can get a good reward for lying. The house is on fire. The Lord of God is a fool. After another half a month, I heard that the rice fields his family contracted were lost. That year, the weather was good, and other families had a good harvest, but his family lost money. He is fulfilling his own vow. Because his family was more difficult, his 2 daughters dropped out of school one after another and went to work in other places. A few years later, I heard from the villagers that his 2 daughters were engaged in improper industry. What is the secret behind these poisonous oaths? When sentient beings make a wish, the depth of the power of the wish can spread to the Dharma world like an aperture water circle spreading outward, which is known to all the ghosts and gods of heaven and earth. Just like a person who really initiates a bodhicitta without falsehood can shock the magic palace. When the poison oath is made, the ghosts and gods on duty in the heavens can know and make a good record. I have seen a Guandi's induction record before. Li Ping, a senior Taiwanese TV producer, once produced popular dramas such as Dumb Bride and Shocking Daughter-in-Law. Although he is 72 years old, his body is still very strong. He recalled the heroic spirit when he made a wish to build a temple for Guanggong nearly 50 years ago, and he couldn't help laughing and said, "At that time, I was so poor that I could only sleep in the park. I really dared to make such a wish." The beggar made a big wish. Li Ping's hometown is in Fengshan, Kaohsiung. In order to share the family plan, at the age of 19, he took the 200 yuan borrowed from his aunt and took the train to Taipei to fight the world. When he first arrived in Taipei, he couldn't find a job at all, so he had to nest in the park with his friends. He slept with a newspaper covered at night and lived a life without 3 meals a day. Later, although he was lucky enough to get a job as a tricycle driver, his meager income made him confused and unwilling. Once, after seeing off the guests, Ping rode a tricycle back home in the middle of the night. In the area of Menching West Road, he saw an inconspicuous little Guanggong temple. He said, "Guanggong's righteousness is very similar to my personality," and immediately attracted me to worship. At that time, I said to Guanggong, "I can't go on like this any longer. I want to steal or rob. As long as Guanggong can bless me and let me make money, I will definitely build a big Guanggong temple in the future." It's also strange to say. After making a wish, although I didn't walk well, I could always turn bad luck into good luck when I encountered things. I really saved some money all the way. Over the years, he has always been thinking about the promise to build a temple for Master Guang. Until 16 years ago, he bought land in Taoyuan Goishan, which was originally expected to build a large studio for filming. Unexpectedly, he began to prepare the land. The driver in charge of the excavation ran to tell him that a red-faced man came to him at night. He was too scared to dig anymore, so he quickly resigned. At that time, Li Ping thought to himself, "Isn't Guanggong just blushing?" In addition, after the excavation of the land, the soil layers of red, black and white were dug out. In folk customs, these 3 colors represent Guanggong, Zhangfei and Lubei respectively, and the location happens to be in Taoyuan, which is related to Taoyuan. Taoyuan homophone, therefore, he asked Guanggong to change the original plan and convert the studio into Guanggong Temple, which was his wish for many years. Originally, Li Ping expected that it would cost 100 million yuan to build a temple. But he didn't expect that various expenses such as buildings and statues would continue to increase, making him spend 16 years all the way. And spend 800 million yuan on the project to complete the main building and open it to worship. This story sounds very magical. After the power of wish was sent out, it seemed that the power to push him began to appear in the dark. Xianhua, a famous high priest in the last century, talked about his personal experience. In the last century, there was a Zhang Yujie in Hong Kong who made a fortune by selling fake drugs before World War I. Later, he had cancer, which could not be cured by traditional Chinese and Western medicine. Hong Kong doctors concluded that he would die within 100 days. In order to survive, he advertised in the overseas Chinese daily and was willing to donate $200,000 to build a temple, but no one came to save him. Later, someone introduced Mr. Zhang Yujie to see Xianhua Shangren. The superior said to him, "You will die within 100 days of your illness. If you do more merit, I will tell you not to die." Now there are more than 2,000 monks in Hong Kong. You have to make a connection with them and support every monk. City cloth, you can make 2 long shirts and 2 pairs of cloth socks. If you can do this, I guarantee that you will not die. And if you want to convert to the 3 treasures, you go to see which mage is virtuous and destined to be with you, and then you will convert. A mage. Zhang Fuhao converted to Xianhua Shangren, but later regretted his wish. It was 8 years since I left. 1 year, in Xixing Temple in Lantau Island, Xianhua Shangren said to the believers at the Dharma meeting, "I have been waiting for Zhang Yujie for 8 years. But he still hasn't fulfilled his wish. From now on, I don't care what kind of disease he has." 2 months later, Zhang Yujie's cancer relapsed. He first went to Donglin Temple to ask Master Dingxi, but Dingxi had no choice. Later, he turned to beg his superiors, but the superiors ignored him. 2 months later, he died. Xianhua Shangren is a generation of masters of Buddhism in the last century, and his achievements are extremely high. The rich man was lucky enough to meet someone's help and got the blessing of the superiors and the blessing of his own wishes, but he repented. Once he repented, he had no merit and died 2 months later. From the story of the marketer, Guandi and Xianhua Shangren, we can see the secret behind it. When you make a wish to do it when there is any merit, even if it is not completed, the origin of change has emerged, which is also an important way to change fate. And the merits and virtues of these vows are bound to intersect with the sages of the heavens who are in charge of people as prosperity and longevity in the Dharma world. There used to be an old man in Shaanxi who could know the previous 3 generations. She said that the life expectancy in this life was originally 25 years old, because he wanted to repair the Guanyin Temple for Peiko village. He had no funds and lived until 88 at the age of, the Guanyin Temple was built and opened. The purpose of the monastery is to keep the image of Guanyin Bodhisattva in the world, so that everyone knows that there is really reincarnation, there is really Bodhisattva. And don't do bad things. After that, she said that she would never come to the world again. The original life expectancy of the elderly is 25. When she made a vow to repair the Guanyin Temple, there began to be information of this merit in the Dharma world. All the ghosts and gods in charge of life and death knew that they would help her prolong her life, complete her wish, and benefit more sentient beings. If you repent halfway, you may leave suddenly at any time without the support of merit and morality. Just like the story of the rich man and Xianhua Shangren in the above. The usual wish is the same. If you make a wish to shape many Buddha statues, you will change your fate with this merit and virtue. If you give up halfway, you will also return to the past. However, how to do it specifically? Is it enough to make a wish to the sky? How to activate the great power of this will? There must be the knowledge and blessing of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the great virtues or the great power of the heavenly people to protect the Dharma. Because they have the power to change their fate against the sky, which can make the merits and virtues not missed. This is similar to an invisible guarantor, which is generally an intangible contract. Such as Emperor Guan and Emperor Xianhua in the above. The specific method is that you can choose a Buddha and Bodhisattva or a great guardian, burn incense and light in front of the statue. Make a wish to say what great merit you want to do, and which wish you want. Some people will think that this seems to be a deal, but in fact it is not. Only when you have merit and virtue can you achieve your wish, otherwise it is invalid. This is a kind of cleverness and convenience of Bodhisattva's transformation of sentient beings, as Maitreya Bodhisattva said in the Yogi's theory of earth. When you constantly make a vow to a Bodhisattva or a guardian of the Dharma, he will be like a witness. You have a strong connection with this Bodhisattva, and the Bodhisattva will also return your merits to your wishes. In Tangmi's cultivation method, it is mentioned that after doing merit and virtue, I pray that I can help me collect and keep the merits and virtues I have, and have handprints and visualizations, and put the merits and virtues at the Lord. So that the merits and virtues will not be lost, and will not be missed because you break the precepts and are not as good as the law. And will not be wantonly destroyed by evil ghosts and gods. I will write an article about this method in the near future. R. Make a wish to do merit. Sen. To fulfill the wish made. Ask for a wish. It is common to hear about the spiritual deeds of asking for wishes, such as asking for the name of the gold list, asking for children. Asking for wishes is actually a kind of contract between you and the Buddha and the Bodhisattva, and an agreement between you and the Bodhisattva. Yinha Bodhisattva's co-standing should be convenient and clever. It is said that if the Bodhisattvas see that they have feelings for food and other 10 resources, even if they are together, they want to make a contract. If you can know that your parents are respectful, and all shaman Brahmins, etc. Broad talk is the same as before. Even if you can receive the pure precepts. For example, I will give you food, drink and other things as you want. If you can eat, I want to give you alms. Maitreya Bodhisattva's Yogi's theory of earth. When the Bodhisattva saw that he had the love to ask for the body, he established a contract with him. If you can repay the kindness of your parents, support the monks, etc., and receive the purification precepts, the Bodhisattva will give it according to his wishes, and if he can't do it, he will not give it. Not all wishes can come true. In reality, there are some realized and some are unrealized, and if it is not realized, it is related to the blessings accumulated and the cause. If a person wants to have something, or want fame, status and wealth, he needs to have corresponding blessings and abilities. At all. The Bodhisattva's blessings and wisdom are as boundless as the sea, but he can give great wealth to a person with ordinary blessings out of thin air. There was an ordinary official who died of illness shortly after he was promoted. We have a high-ranking official. In the past, a high-ranking official told him that if he could be a small civil servant all the time, he would live a long time. But being a high-ranking official would reduce his life expectancy. Of course, he doesn't listen, what he can see. It's just that he has been gone for a long time. He became a high-ranking official in the county and soon became terminally ill. Just like the president is not everyone, and if the blessing is enough, you will be the president until you are old. If the blessing is not enough, the price of the civil servant's high transfer is the sacrifice of life. What if ordinary people want to live well and don't suffer so much? Learn to give, learn to accumulate blessings, and work hard according to the methods of the world. This is also the meaning of asking for wishes. The explanation in the explanation of photography Mahayana is as follows. Seeing that he has feelings for all the wealth, there is a heavy karma. Seeing that he has feelings, if he is given wealth, he will hinder the birth of good law. Seeing that he has feelings, if he lacks wealth, he is tired of leaving the past. Seeing that he has feelings is like giving wealth. That is, it is the reason for the accumulation of bad law. Seeing that he has feelings is like giving wealth. Even if there is a lot of emotional damage and annoyance. Therefore, it is seen that there are all kinds of feelings and lack of wealth. There is a note here, seeing karma obstacles in the past, accumulating losses and annoy the existing people have feelings and don't feel the Bodhisattva's kindness. Bodhisattvas want to satisfy the wishes of sentient beings and will observe many fates. The core is to grow the good dharma, which is helpful for Bodhi. If you satisfy your wish, but you can control karma, or if you are not good at practice, you will not fulfill your wish. This is the dividing point between Buddha and Bodhisattva, the protection of the dharma in the world and the ghosts and gods in the world. Bodhisattva will treat sentient beings as children and help them from a long-term perspective. But there are ghosts and gods in the world, maybe you support him, and he is willing to help you. If you encounter a disaster, a serious illness, or a great wish, or other kind wishes in the future, you can apply this rule. Establish contracts and agreements with Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and Dharma protection. This is a kind of promise. According to what Maitreya Bodhisattva said in the Yoga Master's theory, what to do in order to realize the wish. As mentioned in Master Yingguang's Sun Seeking, special 3 appointments, thinking of the first tolerance. Protect yourself and save your desire. Erduamu and Jide, 3 children are young and good at teaching. Do these 3 hard, in order to live up to the flood of the great scholar. Ma send a wish. For example, make a vow to support 1,000 monks, make a vow to change your mind, and release 1,000 fish. This is to eliminate one's own karma and improve the welfare of capital. Some people make a wish to do as many merits, but they don't do it later. Although the rain is wide, it does not moisten the rootless grass. Although Buddhism is broad, it is not for people who have no fate. Guanzi Bodhisattva's words, world honor. If the Bodhisattvas have enough of all the endless treasures to achieve great compassion, how can the existing sentient beings in the world be poor? If all sentient beings have no self-deprecation, how can there be poverty in the world? Seeing that the sea water is exhausted, it is not the sea that the hungry ghosts pass by themselves. This is the treasure given by the Bodhisattva. It's like the sea has no mistakes, it's all sentient beings' self-work, just like a hungry ghost as self-deteal karma is fruitless. Deciphering the Deep Secret Sutra. The meaning of this passage is clear. Poor sentient beings have no blessings because of their own karma. Even if the Bodhisattva gives him treasures, he will not get them. The Jizang Sutra mentions that patients give up their own belongings to support or shape Buddha and Bodhisattva statues. Why do you have to do this? It is to plant good causes and blessings for himself. It is also a relationship with Buddha and Bodhisattva, establishing a very good relationship. With this fate, Buddha and Bodhisattva can help him. For example, we take out our own money to support Jizang Bodhisattva. Jizang Bodhisattva is a great bodhisattva with boundless blessing and magic power, and has great merits and virtue. When we give, because of this fate, we can accept the blessing of Jizang Bodhisattva. This seems to be a reaction force. What we gave was collected in a blink of an eye. The power of cultivation and willingness. The master once said, I want to stand up, and I want to be a master. Zhang Zai of the Northern Song dynasty said, start up for heaven and earth, set up life for the people, for the sake of the saints, and open up peace for all generations. In the spring and autumn's Wu biography, Sun Bao, the uncle of the state of Lu, said, Tai is virtuous, secondly, there is merit, and secondly, there is speech. Although it is not abolished for a long time, this is called three immortals. These are all the great wishes of ancient Chinese Confucian philosophers, which are eternal. The long history is long for thousands of years. In Danqing and paper and ink, the wishes and wisdom they once sent flow. A person's wish power and heart power are so small, but if he really initiates bodhicitta, he can feel the wish power of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the world, like a drop of water integrating into the sea. Integrating into the sea of Buddha's original wishes, and wishing to exchange. Chen Kun said that he recited the Vajradhara Sutra every day. Anyway, he was still young and would be enlightened one day. Enlightenment is a great and ordinary thing, that is, to see your heart in person. However, this is not like the knowledge of the world, after reasoning and thinking, but transcends language thinking, and does not leave the thinking, and witnesses the true intention of immortality. As a star with countless fans, if he can make a wish before or after reciting the Vajradhara Sutra every day, may everyone who sees me, smells me and remembers me be happy. With the strengthening of desire, this I hope that the power will penetrate into the void Dharma world, and then appear in the fate, which will produce a kind of blessing power in the dark for the corresponding person. In the future, any fan who misses him may be really cool and happy. This corresponds to the depth of his memory. And the blessing power comes from Chen Kun's own power of wish, blessing, Taoism, and merit of the Vajradhara Sutra. Amitabha Buddha made 48 vows from time to time, all over the world. If sentient beings correspond to his wish power, they will be supported by his wish power and be born in a blissful world. For example, hungry ghosts are forced to themselves for great heat and thirst. Seeing that the sea water is exhausted, it is not the sea that the hungry ghosts pass by themselves, this is the treasure given by the Bodhisattva. It's like the sea has no mistakes, it's all sentient beings' self-work. Just like a hungry ghost as self-deteal karma is fruitless. Deciphering the Deep Secret Sutra. The meaning of this passage is clear. Poor sentient beings have no blessings because of their own karma, even if the Bodhisattva gives him treasures, he will not get them. The Jizang Sutra mentions that patients give up their own belongings to support or shape Buddha and Bodhisattva statues. Why do you have to do this? It is to plant good causes and blessings for himself. It is also a relationship with Buddha and Bodhisattva, establishing a very good relationship. With this fate, Buddha and Bodhisattva can help him. For example, we take out our own money to support Jizang Bodhisattva. Jizang Bodhisattva is a great bodhisattva with boundless blessing and magic power, and has great merits and virtue. When we give, because of this fate, we can accept the blessing of Jizang Bodhisattva. This seems to be a reaction force. What we gave was collected in a blink of an eye. The power of cultivation and willingness. The master once said, I want to stand up, and I want to be a master. Zhang Zai of the Northern Song dynasty said, start up for heaven and earth, set up life for the people, for the sake of the saints, and open up peace for all generations. In the spring and autumn's Wu biography, Sun Bao, the uncle of the state of Lu, said, Tai is virtuous, secondly, there is merit, and secondly, there is speech. Although it is not abolished for a long time, this is called three immortals. These are all the great wishes of ancient Chinese Confucian philosophers, which are eternal. The long history is long for thousands of years. In Danqing and paper and ink, the wishes and wisdom they once sent flow. A person's wish power and heart power are so small, but if he really initiates bodhicitta, he can feel the wish power of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the world, like a drop of water integrating into the sea. Integrating into the sea of Buddha's original wishes, and wishing to exchange. Chen Kun said that he recited the Vajradhara Sutra every day. Anyway, he was still young and would be enlightened one day. Enlightenment is a great and ordinary thing, that is, to see your heart in person. However, this is not like the knowledge of the world, after reasoning and thinking, but transcends language thinking, and does not leave the thinking, and witnesses the true intention of immortality. As a star with countless fans, if he can make a wish before or after reciting the Vajradhara Sutra every day, may everyone who sees me, smells me and remembers me be happy. With the strengthening of desire, this I hope that the power will penetrate into the void Dharma world, and then appear in the fate, which will produce a kind of blessing power in the dark for the corresponding person. In the future, Any fan who misses him may be really cool and happy. This corresponds to the depth of his memory. And the blessing power comes from Shinkoin's own power of wish, blessing, Taoism, and merit of the Vajradhara Sutra. Amitabha Buddha made 48 vows from time to time, all over the world. If sentient beings correspond to his wish power, they will be supported by his wish power and be born in a blissful world. The medicine master Luliguang Buddha made 12 great vows because of the earth, and he was empty all over the Dharma world, and he was unshakable. When all sentient beings fit his wish power, they will also get the blessing of his wish power. The body is like glaze, quickly prove Bodhi, and see the magic net, and see the abundance. And in this 5 turbid and evil world, the 2 great warriors, Guanyin Bodhisattva and Jizang Bodhisattva, have sent out all the wishes of life and death reincarnation. And their connection is convenient, even those with inferior roots can correspond. Therefore, at the end of the Dharma and blessing deeds of the 2 great Bodhisattvas were widely spread.